the Zoom session going so that those who are attending via Zoom can participate. Fortunately, when we lose our connection, the Zoom channel does stay open. And Emily has volunteered to co-host and try to keep that going for those who are attending online. Otherwise, go through public comment. Yeah, you can have 2 minutes in public comment. Okay. That's fine. So the Normal Heights Planning Group envisions a healthy, vibrant community that honors unceded Kumeyaay land and cares for all inhabitants. We prioritize inclusive and equitable land use, valuing people over commodification. Through pedestrian-friendly infrastructure, transit-oriented development, open space preservation, and affordable housing, we strive for a vibrant and sustainable neighborhood. Additionally, we promote responsible economic development that supports historic preservation, local businesses, fosters job opportunities, and enhances the overall economic vitality of Normal Heights. Amen. Quick introduction of the board members, and because we are pressed for time today, I'll go ahead and make the introductions. Paul Coogan, I'm the chair. Ellen is our vice chair. Brian Schrader has resigned the board, and so we have an open seat for secretary. Frances, there you are. Frances at the back, she's helping to collect questions for Sean. Scott Kessler, you probably all know as AABAC. Dan Soderberg, our historian, expert on the history of Normal Heights. Jim Barros, our fearless leader, who's agreed to stay on until we can get more board members. So I encourage all of you to apply and serve on our board. The requirements are to be over 18 years of age, live in the neighborhood or own property in the neighborhood, and have a willingness to serve. Emily is helping us with sorting through the questions and managing the Zoom session. Nancy Lawler is over here and is a specialist on equal access. Greg at the back is helping to distribute the sign-in sheet. Please give us your email address if you can, so that we can let you know of future meetings coming up like this one. And then Sammy is our newest member, is helping us with our website and also with the questions that come in off of Zoom. And Parker is our timekeeper today. So much respect. Secretary. So I should have edited that right there. Next is the agenda setting and modifications. If you have one of these sheets in your hand, we are going out of order today in order to respect Sean's time here. We will approve the December meeting minutes at the end of today's session. And the treasurer report says the balance is 1,300 and some odd cents. It doesn't typically move, but we hope to see a deposit of some stipend from the city. At this time, we'll take the non-agenda public comment. I want to limit this session to 5 questions, and then we'll move on. But we'll have another public comment period towards the end to do a cleanup period. So raise of hands, and also in the Zoom chat, please raise your hand. I see one in Zoom. That's iPhone. Yes.
Yes. Oh, hi. My name is Becky Rapp, and I come here tonight. I wanted to share an article with you that was printed in KPBS, stating that there were a lot of people protesting outside of the mayor's state of the city regarding the changes to the SEED program, which is the Social Equity and Economic Development Program. We've been under the impression that the city has been considering 36 new permits for marijuana storefronts, doubling the current number we have now, creating opportunities for those who are criminalized for marijuana. According to the protesters, the number of marijuana permits is being lowered to 18. My question is where these individuals got their information. Nothing has been stated by the city staff, posted on the city website, or been scheduled to be presented at any council committees. Why are industry stakeholders privy to information and the public and planning groups have to find out through KPBS? This is a land use issue that will drastically affect our communities. And I just want to suggest to this group that you reach out to the Race and Equity Division under the mayor's office and ask them for to come and present the SEED program, stating the intentions and where the program is at currently. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. They are part of the record, and our representatives are here to take notes as well. Next, is there anyone in the room? Is this an opportunity? This is for 2-minute public non-agenda comments.
So my name's Fernando Garcia. It's my wife Cynthia. We're residents of Houston. I'm a small business owner in the solar industry. I'm also running for city council here in District 9. I wanted to take this opportunity to kind of talk about some of the flood, what took place with the rains and the flood. It really reiterated to me how important it is to listen to the people here in the planning groups. Because what happens is when you don't listen to the planning groups, you end up having things like the flood that took place. The floods that took place were not something that people weren't talking about. They've been complaining about this for years and years. And this is what happens when you don't listen. So it's very important for any elected official to listen to the constituents. Now, when you don't listen, you're going to invest in things like bike lanes rather than storm drains. So these are things that are very important. I wanted to take that opportunity to talk about that. I know a lot of people are going to use excuses like climate change. I'll tell you right now, I'm in the solar industry. I know what climate change does. I believe in it. But don't let that be an excuse. Okay, it was lack of preparation, and it's not listening to the community. So, thank you.
Good job, Nobel.
Thank you.
There we go. Great example. Thank you. We have one more.
Hi there, I'm Dr. Terry Hoskins. We live in Rolando Park. I have a house there. I'm also running for District 9. And you guys are great. I was a police officer in Mid-City Division for 15 years. I've worked every community in our district, stood on every street, every sidewalk, been in every stream bed, every creek, every waterway, every culvert you could probably think of. Community members have been complaining forever about our infrastructure. And time's going to come where the city is going to be asking us to put more money out. And I hope the voters say no. We have money. It's just been earmarked for Ash Street, bike lanes, roundabouts, not fixing sidewalks, not doing the stuff that the government should do for us. We're already paying money. You're already paying that in taxes. Just be wise, be smart, right? I think it took the city 4 days to do a great job on cleaning out some of these stormwater areas and culverts. They didn't really flood. Well, if they'd have done that same work over the last 3 years they've been in office, I think there'd been a lot of the flooding would have been a lot minimized, but they didn't. So just keep that in mind. I appreciate your time. Thank you for what you guys do. Community and planning groups are awesome. I hope you weren't affected by what the city did to change planning group, because, you know, that's part of our tradition stuff. So thank you for your time.
Okay. Let's do one more from the Zoom call. Paul Jameson, you have your hand up.
Yeah, thanks. Let's see. I'm just disappointed to hear that folks sort of attacking bike lanes because of the infrastructure issues. I mean, I think we can do both, right? People who are trying to get to work or to where they need to go to school should be able to get there safely, regardless of their means of transportation. And I've been going to CPG meetings for a long time, and I've been talking to leaders and saying that we need safe access. So I think it's unfair to say that you're not listening to the people, because I'm going to these planning meetings and saying, hey, I'd like to be able to get to work, to school, to businesses safely by bike. And that's just not possible in the community now. And I think I read we have a $6 billion infrastructure deficit. You know, the annual funding for bike lanes from the city has got to be less than 1% of the budget. Motorists pay for maybe half of the cost of roads, from what I've read. So, you know, this is a pretty complex issue, and I don't think it can just be distilled down to, well, we shouldn't be paying for bike lanes. Again, people deserve to be able to safely access their destination, and bicyclists and pedestrians are getting killed on our unsafe streets. So let's look at holistically. Let's find the funding to pay off this deficit. And I disagree that there's enough money to do it right now, given the scale of the annual budget in the city versus just how large this deficit is. So thanks.
Thank you. Last question. I think I would like to take Marion Green. She has her hand up in the Zoom session. And I'm sorry, I don't know your name, but we will extend public comment at the end of the session after Sean's Q&A. So we'll have another public comment period. Yes. To be continued. Yes, Marianne.
Oh, hi. I was the first environmental planner for the street division who wrote the wetland regulations for storm drain channel maintenance back in the early noughts. And the city was absolutely aghast that they'd have to pay for wetland mitigation. Then they were sued successfully by another attorney. And then they set up a program. They never fully funded it. The wetland mitigation is so expensive. And so this is nothing new. This was readily predictable what happened. Very sad, very unfortunate. And I just wanted to bring that to the group's attention, because it was very much a part of my life for many years, coming into that street division and having to alert the management that they had no permits to do what they were doing. I set up a permitting program, basically single-handedly. And it's such a tragedy. And it's taken 20 years. And now look what's happened. So anyway, that's all I wanted to share. Anyway, thank you.
Thank you. So at this point, we'll move to the presentation by Remy. Let's see. The other.
Hi, I'm Ramy Zamiski. We live over along Mountain View Drive. Been here 35 years. If you can't hear me, tell me to speak up, because I'm really good at being louder. So just let me know. Okay, so a couple months ago, somebody during one of the meetings said, everybody complains about housing and nobody has any solutions. Well, I'm here with 3 solutions that will fix this crisis tomorrow if the people in the city have the wherewithal to do it. So here we are. Right now, we could have over 8,000 new housing units available tomorrow. So we have what's called the short-term rental situation in San Diego. You see that there's all these different tiers, how the tiers are laid out, how many licenses are for each tier. So then let's go to the next one. From the tier 2, according to the city website, an owner or permanent resident may be absent from the residence for up to 90 days. This is meant for those who rent out their property while they're away themselves. Very short term. This is actually a short-term rental. Then why are there 264 of these licenses held by somebody who has multiple tier 2 licenses? How can you live in multiple residences during the year? One person holds 12 of these tier 2 licenses. He also has 2 tier 1, which I will remind you was less than 20 days per year that you were absent, that you were allowed to rent out your house. He has 27 tier 3 licenses, 19 tier 4 licenses. Next one, please. So how can one person hold 60 licenses? The city states that in this program, only 1 license per person, except for the loophole. The person running the business is the contact. The host holds the license. So while one person manage the property, run the business, run the Airbnb, has the same tax number, does all of the tax information, handles all of the money, the license can be under someone else's name. Okay. Next page, please. So what's the problem with 1 license per host? And a word is a scam. I wondered about a company that I know that has 17 properties that they rent out short term. So I looked at the list that's readily available on city website. I know people that are listed as hosts. They don't work in the business. They've never stepped a foot on the property, trust me. But they are the hosts. He runs 17 housing units that are not on the market yet. Next, please. This is a page from the list of available licenses. I did a simple Excel sort. I went and looked for 92116. I did a simple looking for duplications. You can see there's people who are using the same tax ID number. They're not even trying to hide it, that they have multiple licenses. These are all people in this neighborhood that have duplicate houses wrapped up in this neighborhood instead of on the market where they should be, because we have housing crisis, remember? So, you go to the next one. Well, you should tell the city about this. I would love to, except the fact they already know. This article was from last June. The reporter asked the city council members for a comment. The one person that opposed the short-term rental as it is was the only one that answered their questions. The woman in this article said, I'm not a host. I don't know how my name got on the list. I have no idea what you're talking about. Before this went to print, she called the reporter back and said, yeah, I forgot I'm a host. You forgot you're a host? So they know. Next, please. You're doing a better job at that than I am.
You're doing great.
So this is nothing new. As you can see, it's not just San Diego. This is a known issue. People are buying houses. They are renting them out. They're taking houses out of the marketplace for people. Next, please. Houses should be homes, not hotels. If the housing is so bad in San Diego, the city must immediately stop allowing all vacation rentals if they cannot manage the way that it was intended. I just showed you if they're not. Next. So why should you care? A study from 2017 by the National Bureau of Economic Research, Cal State Northridge, and USC showed that short-term rentals in the area not only increased the monthly rent for long-term renters, but it also raised the median house price. There's another one done at the University of Nevada, another one Georgia State University, another one Miami University. Same conclusion. Another study done in Portugal, another in Sweden, same conclusion. Just yesterday in Australia, did another study that they released yesterday. Same conclusion. Short-term rentals raise the prices for everybody, exacerbate. Next, please. So putting 8,000 housing units back in the market is a good start, but not the only one. Now, I remember watching Scooby-Doo. I don't know about you guys, but I remember it always seemed like the monster was actually just a real estate developer. So here we go. Please. Beautiful house, Thomas Drive, San Diego. Gorgeous. 1,500 square units. Wonderful. Next page, please. That's a pretty good write-up. Looks like a nice house. Would want to buy that. Next, please. All new, amazing, fully renovated. New flooring, new plumbing, HVAC, electrical. Gosh, that must have taken a while to get the permits. Next. Well, he got one permit for new windows. That's what that says. New windows. They didn't have any other permit for anything else. So either they didn't get the permits and didn't do the work and they're lying to their buyers, or they did the work and are lying to the city. Or even worse, the city's not bothering to ask. They had a permit. There should have been an inspector there. Why did the inspector not see all this other stuff going on? Why did the inspector not go back when they were done and say, wait a minute, you tore up all this other stuff? I didn't go looking for this. I just clicked on it and this was the house. This isn't hard to find. Next one, please. So for kicks and giggles, let's say that they did all of this work and they did it because 1,500 square foot house. Let's give them 8,000 for flooring, 30,000 for HVAC, 30,000 for plumbing, 17 for electrical, 8 for the windows. Let's just throw in 7,000 to make it an even 100,000. So here's what happened. In August, they bought the house for $1 million. November, they put it on the market for 1,565. They brought it down a little bit. Thankfully, nobody went at that price. So let's go to the next one, please. Excessive profit equals higher housing prices for all of us. These people cleared, even if, let's say, my generous 100,000 was right on, they still cleared 450, but I'm pretty sure that my 100,000 is a little on the generous side. So here's my thought. I work in the pharmaceutical industry. I make sure that pharmaceuticals give the best price to the government through an inflation. So what I'm proposing is that if people are buying and selling houses multiple times within a short period of time, they are not like you and me. They are not homeowners. They are developers and investors. So what we're going to do is impose an inflation penalty. Next. How will it work? So we know that these are going to be not homeowners. All the city and the county have to do is do a simple Excel search. I love Excel. I know I talk about it, but this really is all it is. Simple Excel search, database search, see which names continuously pop up. Those names and addresses and tax ID information continuously pop up. Those are not home. Once they're identified, next please. Here's what we're going to do. How this works is you bought it in August. That's the CPIU in August. Sold in December. That's the CPIU in December. The inflationary amount is going to be 0.21% in this example. You apply that to the price that they paid for the house. So you can see the new price for the house adds that 2114. Their sale price is the 155. The difference is almost 550. Let's give them those 100,000 in legitimate costs. Let's give them a reasonable profit. What I found online was an acceptable small business profit is 7 to 10%. We'll give them the 10%. So we're going to take the 100,000 and the 110, and we're going to say that's your cost. So your excessive profit is just under the 340,000. That's the number that you tax. I happen to think 75 has a nice ring to it, 75%, but it's not my decision. Maybe 50%, maybe 35%, but you know what? It has to be something where these people stop taking these houses, getting this excessive profit, and making the rest of us suffer because of their actions. It has to make it hurt. So let's go to the next one. Here's another one. Canterbury Drive. Bought in August for $21.25. Put it back on the market 3 months later at almost $3 million. Did the math there. There's your excessive profit. That needs to not go into their pockets anymore. That needs to come back to us to help with the situation that they've created. It should not be on all of us to make sacrifices because of this housing crisis. Target the people who are causing it. Next one, please. Case I haven't made my case yet. Here's no one I just happened to click on in Escondido. That, in case you can't see it, is 15 days. They owned this house for 15 days. They jacked up the price to $59,000 for 50, and that's holiday period. So we know that they weren't working all those 15 days, and there were no permits. This is just pure profit at the expense of everybody. So again, we need to make it so it's not as enticing anymore. Next, please. All right, so what else comes with an inflation penalty? Well, if you want your amount to be lower because of your cost, you're going to have to prove to us that you actually have those costs. The developer next to us, their workers admitted to us that they had to walk off the job because the developer was paying them under the table and he hadn't paid them. So their only recourse, because they were paid under the table, was they had to walk off the job until they got paid. That shouldn't happen. If you put this inflation penalty in there, if the company wants that money to be locked off the inflation penalty, they're going to have to prove that they're going by the book. The other thing, if they want to get their amount reduced, they best have the permits. They best show that they got the permits, and they best show that they bought the materials, did the work, and actually did what they're saying they're doing. Now, the last point I think is the most important one. We people that buy, there's not young couples anymore that can get in and buy a fixer-upper and get a first house and make it their own. My neighbor just sold his house. Before it was listed on the MLS, the real estate agent who was in collusion with these developers had people parading through the house, showing them. He had 3 offers before it was even listed. This is a stacked against the average person situation. It's not right. We need to be able to, we shouldn't have to play the game. There should be no game. This is housing. This is important. Next one, please. So my third tier of the stool is 12% of the homes, this would shock me, in California are owned by foreigners. I got nothing against foreigners. Love them. I lived overseas for many years. Problem is, that's 1.5 million housing units are owned by people that don't live here. So they've created this situation where these California has higher percentage of renters than the national average. It's only getting worse because you see all of the big buildings going around. It's going to be very hard for people to be owners. I thought that was the American dream, was to own a house. So again, if you are going to buy a house in California, you should live in California. Next, please. This isn't a crazy concept. Other countries have done this. Lots of countries in Europe, Asia, Australia, New Zealand, Italy started putting limits on foreign ownership 2018. You can see right there. When they started doing that, 1975 per square foot, 1975 euros per square foot was the average. It's lower today. Their housing prices went down. That's what we need to do here. So another country that put limits on foreign ownership, Canada. So many new homes are being looked at as assets, as investments, as opposed to places to raise families and create communities. That's what Justin Trudeau said. He's gone. Houses should be homes, not lines on a ledger. Next, please. So here's my ask of the group. I've been talking a lot, so I'm going to ask you a question and then I'm going to stop. I would like a letter to go to City Council. Possibly more people if you see that fit. You need to stop short-term rental program until this crisis is over and until they can put in place parameters to make sure what you guys saw tonight doesn't continue. I want you to ask them for the inflation penalty that I mentioned. I'll leave it up to you what percentage you want to tack on as that tax. And I want to ask for a moratorium on out-of-state country purchasers so that hopefully what happened in Italy can happen here. And what I would ask of all of you is if what you saw today shocks you, call up your representatives. Tell them. Because they think you don't know, but you do now. Well, thank you for your time and attention. Any questions?
So have the speakers when. Yeah. If there's is there a motion to, draft a letter?
I make a motion and we draft up a letter asking for the city about these things could be improved. And what affecting them.
We have a second? Okay, Francis seconds. And put it to a vote to draft a letter in collaboration with Rainey. Okay, all in favor? Any abstains? One abstain? And the nays? Looks like it passes. Thank you.
Thank you.
I need some leaves. I want to put the owl up here, but so that people on the doesn't seem to be doing the speaker view.
In the upper right hand corner, there's a choice. One of the choices is where speaker shows up.
Speaker view or immersive. No. Not that. Yeah, it's in speaker view. It seems to be stuck on Aaron Coleman. Unpinned. Oh, good idea. Yeah, see if you can unpin Aaron Coleman.
I'm just pressing you.
Okay.
There's spotlight for everyone.
Oh, that's much better.
I click that button.
Okay, thank you. Hey, at this point, we'll shift the meeting to Sean Elo-Rivera, who's agreed to join us. Thank you. We'll be taking some questions and answers via Q&A format. There was speaker slips that went around earlier. Or question slips rather, if you have not filled out one, please do and get it to us. We'll put it in the pile. The format will be, we'll peel off a question. The person will come up to the microphone and you'll have 30 seconds to state your question. John will have 2 minutes for response. And Sean, if you feel you need more time to address that, just ask.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Appreciate the opportunity to be here. Appreciate you all for the time you put into the community. I'm not going to take too long. I want to make sure there's time for questions. Just a couple things that I want to mention. The flooding was mentioned earlier today. And if you were at the Adams Avenue Business Association, apologies for having to hear this again, but I do think it's important. A crisis, a genuine disaster happened in San Diego 2 weeks ago that had a tragic impact on folks' lives. As we speak, there are a minimum hundreds of homes that are destroyed or uninhabitable right now, and probably upward of 1,000 people who can't stay in their home or shouldn't be in their home. The sort of disaster that you see on the news and other places, and it happened right here in San Diego, 10 minutes from here, in communities that are and have been underinvested in and underfunded for a very, very long time. And it is a honest to God tragedy. I started with that because, as I mentioned this morning, the group, I have real concerns that folks are moving on. And happy to debate the different aspects of why it happened. But in the meantime, there's a humanitarian crisis that needs responding to. There's folks who lost every single thing that they own. And none of the homes that I stepped in were the homes of wealthy people. And it's not just the things that they lost that they can't pay to replace, it's the things that they lost that are literally priceless. And so I hope that in these moments we can respond to the humanitarian crisis, humanitarian effort. And there will be opportunities for that. And I do really hope that San Diego steps up the way that I know we can. One bright note in this is the community response in the southeastern communities has been heroic. There were folks who rushed in to provide support from community-based organizations that without those efforts, the tragedy would have been even worse. The Housing Commission has done some very, very impressive work over the last couple of weeks to take a handoff from the community and ensure folks' housing needs are met. Just last Saturday, 3 days ago, we started moving folks into a Ramada Inn in the Midway area. And that Ramada is a hotel that was purchased by the city of San Diego through the Housing Commission with a program called Project Home Team. The competitive state program the city went after, we won funding for, we secured that hotel, converting the housing for people who were experiencing homelessness or in danger of experiencing homelessness. We took possession less than a week before we moved folks in, pivoted to provide housing for folks who were displaced. As of right now, there's 35 families or households that are there, and we've got room for about 14 more, depending on the size of the households. I share that because it's an example of what we can do when we work together. We can do more of that, and I really do hope that in collaboration as a community, we can ensure that these folks are taken care of in this incredible time of need. So that's kind of a broader district and city issue that I wanted to call attention to. A very specific normal height issue that I know Sada has heard a lot about is the unacceptable road conditions on Holly Boulevard. You're not going to hear me disagree. It's not okay. The road looks terrible. It's been paved a long time ago, and it's going to be in our budget priority memo. We'll continue to advocate for it, and as I do with every neighborhood, when we can coalesce around specific areas that everyone kind of agrees in a district and city of substantial need, rise to a certain level of importance where we want to kind of harness our efforts around. That's when we get things done. There are multiple examples of parts of the district where our office was told no, and through working closely with community, be very specific about what it is that we want, and being insistent, not about what we don't want, but about what we want, we were able to get that done. Through multi-million-dollar investments, we certainly couldn't have done alone as an office, but we were able to do hand in hand with community. Not saying it should be on the normal height community to advocate for something that everyone should expect. Everyone should expect decent roads. I'm trying to be practical. This is when I've seen things get done, right? We identify that this is an unacceptable street. The entire neighborhood agrees needs to be prioritized in terms of repaving. I cannot guarantee that it'll make its way into the budget. The mayor proposes the budget, council approves it, and I need the support of a majority of my colleagues to change it, whatever's not in the mayor's proposed budget. So it's a fight, legitimate fight. And sometimes that gets hard because sometimes it looks like we're taking things from other districts. And so when I tell you we need like really come together, that's why, because it's not just a matter of us convincing me, me convincing a single colleague. It's quite literally us convincing the entire city of San Diego the money should go here and not there. I'm down for that fight, but I'm going to tell you we're going to need to work together on it. All right. So with that, I'm happy to answer questions. Appreciate the time, Paul. Yeah.
Thank you. Just so everybody knows, there is coffee and cookies if you haven't seen yet. Feel free to help yourself. First question. Yeah. 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 Okay. Yeah. Okay. So let's start. We'll start here. Yeah. Okay. So these are all in the room. Okay, great. So in the format, we're going to start with folks in the room, and then we'll move to those who are in the Zoom session. So please be patient on Zoom. And then last, the first question is Alex Zukas. If you could come up to the microphone. And your question is, looks like it has to do with EPA loans and the water system.
Ask a question.
Yes, please. In your own work.
The Times of San Diego reported in September 2022 that the mayor secured $730 million EPA and signed for 22 time. Is put that money in executed. If not, are we paying? If you what repairs or upgrades were made to the stormwater system, and then relatedly, if the mayor did secure, where's the
So just generally, Alex. So the loan was secured. It's important. Stormwater work has been done. Whether or not it's tagged directly to that loan, we'll ask, right? I'm happy to ask about that. So that's kind of there. The broader issue is even if there's the loan needs to be paid, right? And doesn't change the fact that we have a multi-billion-dollar stormwater deficit, a multi-billion-dollar infrastructure deficit. It helps in the immediate, fantastic, because we don't want to wait any longer to do a lot of this work that should have been done generations ago. I think it was Marianne was the woman who was on Zoom and talked about 20 years ago flagging an issue and it not being addressed the right way. I could have asked anyone to go up to the has this exact not I don't it's not every single decision you can possibly imagine. The idea that the stormwater me or this council or this mayor is false. Just not. That's a multi-generational failure of leadership. It was a giant lie. Everyone in San Diego about what it costs to run a city. I don't like saying that. I would love for you all. It's too expensive to live in California. I know that. But rather than be honest with you all for a long time, can was kicked and the can was kicked and the can was kicked, and we have crumbling infrastructure. 85 was the last time we paid for the federal. Could be wrong. Hope I'm wrong. 84. Yeah. So anyway, this is a long-standing issue that our attention is on now. But my office has been extremely roothouse since we got into office, along with many other folks, including those in the community.
Next up is Daniel Lehman. Danielle Lehman.
Thank you.
Thank you. And your question is in regards to Parks and Recreation.
Yes.
We can hear you.
I was just wondering if you knew what the status of Ward Canyon Park expansion is, because I've heard various things about Caltrans calling help and then backing out. And where's the money?
So Ward Canyon Parks, there's a plan in place, and it's a great example of things taking way too long in this city because of the processes that we use. We plan, we bid, we wait for bid, we do design, and we wait for construction. The price has gone up, and we chase the dollars, and 1 year turns into 2, and 2 years turns into 5, and 5 years turns into 7. We are on staff, try to make sure that happens as quickly as possible. Danielle, I think you know me well enough to know that one of the things I stand by is that I do not give specifics unless I know I can stand by them. And so until we nail them down in the way that I feel confident relaying back, or we get it in writing, which I'll be happy to relay back, I'd rather not say what the date is. I don't want to be held accountable for any answer that I don't feel confident. We can try to help it, right? We've got some good relationships with other folks over there. That is a not uncommon thing to hear from other agencies, where our city attorney's office or specific department makes partnership much more difficult than it should be. And we try our best through the red tape, but neither city departments or the city attorney's office reports me. And that makes it a request for me, not a demand. Not in that area.
Next up is Paul Kruger. And question is regarding Talmadge residents and the bonus ADU program.
Right. 3 years ago, we met with you and expressed concerns about the bonus ADU program. It has not produced one unit of very low or low income housing. On Aiken Street, they're building 142 ADUs, depriving the city of $2.1 million in infrastructure. And we're doing it with every bonus ADU. For 3 years, we've waited for you to demand a review of the program.
Is that a question?
Will you demand a review of the program?
We've asked. Actually, oh, we have asked. I think you know that. No, we've asked.
Please continue.
We've asked for a lot of facts and data related to the AD program and other programs related to planning. We're very frustrated by the lack of response we've gotten. We've relayed that frustration. Again, just like I shared before, I know you all don't like this answer, but government structure is the government structure. I don't get to tell them what to do. I get to ask. The more adversarial and confrontational I am with those departments, the less likely I am to get that data. I specifically asked for data related to the ADU program. I did not receive it. We followed up. And they decided that they weren't going to do the research because they wanted to spend their time on something else. That's the answer.
Next is Jacob Koopman as a rather pointed question.
Really my question said, why do you continue to put the mayor's agenda ahead of your constituents? And just for context, as I talk to people in the neighborhood, in the beginning, I tried to advocate for you and say, you know what, I think outside of politics is probably a good guy. And 10 out of 10 people said that was not true. I feel like the most important aspect of being a district leader or any other political figure is communication. And I feel like you failed to communicate for constituents locally here. So, you know, my question with that context is, finish. With that context,
you asked the question. You asked the question.
And I'm going to reiterate it. Why do you continue to put
I'm asking, and
agenda
Jacob,
ahead of your constituents?
can you give me an example of when I put the mayor's agenda ahead of mine? Because I'll start by answering. What has been the mayor's #1 policy proposal this year? The thing that you saw the mayor most outspoken about? Was that? That's not true. Where did you see the most press conferences, the most public appearances? The encampment ban. It was his #1 priority. And I voted no. Okay. I voted no because I thought it would have a detrimental impact on this community. I took a ton of heat for that. Okay. Because I had concerns that if we just push folks out of downtown, where are they going to end up? In District 9. Did I think that District 9 would be treated with the respect that downtown is? No. So I held the line. I voted no. I voted no on the housing action package the first time and made them do better. Is that false? Did I not vote no?
You voted no, but you did.
Did I vote
better?
I'm not debating you, Paul.
This is misdirection.
It's not, no, it's not misdirection. I was asked
I'm sorry, there's no, please. No
if I can just have a 30 seconds to wrap that up.
Yes.
I was asked about the mayor's agenda taking precedent over my district. We just named it. You all said the top 2 priorities of the mayor this past year. The encampment ban and the housing action package. I voted no on one and I cut the other one down until it came back in a way that I could stand behind in a more reasonable way. I don't think that speaks to putting anyone's agenda above the district. Okay? I held the line when it was time to hold the line. We may not agree on the final outcome, but the idea that I caved is wrong. I voted no just 2 weeks ago on another very high profile issue because I didn't think our civil liberties were being protected. I have no problem saying no when I think it's the right time.
Thank you. Next is Lorna Zukas. This has to do with Prop H dollars.
Hi, Sean. How are you tonight? Thanks for taking the heat. Sean, you voted to take millions of dollars, millions of Proposition H dollars dedicated to infrastructure by taxpayers and spend them on other things. How do you justify rating those infrastructure funds given the huge infrastructure deficit in the city that we've had for a very long time?
Laura, Prop H is such a perfect example of the lies that politicians of the past told San Diego. Not $1 more of revenue for infrastructure. We're going to take the structural budget deficit that we have for 10, maybe certain money for a certain. It was a fake solution. I appreciate that the voters supported it.
One of the years, for a variety of reasons, including necessary spending related to COVID recovery, we decided to waive the policy. That's not Prop H is not a solution to our infrastructure issue. We have a massive structural budget deficit. We had that before Prop H. We had that after Prop H. That's been called attention to time after time after time by the independent budget analyst and our city auditor.
You. Rainey has a question. You have a question slip?
I actually agreed with like 95% of your presentation. No. It's not as simple as that, Randy. Couple things though. The city spent a lot of time on the short-term vacation rental issue. I agree with you. Homes are homes, and hotels are hotels. I agree with that. But here's what happened when the city tried to shut it down. The industry went to referendize. So, like, there was corporate takeover of our democratic system, right? And forced the city back to the table with the threat they referended it again. And I promise you, we do not want Airbnb writing the law. As much as you don't like what's there, I guarantee you that what Airbnb writes will be worse. Additionally, as much as I'd like to ban it, what I saw, I can have my beliefs, and I really do try to be guided by what happens in other places. In the cities that banned them outright, it just happened in Airbnb and somewhere else. And I want to be somewhat pragmatic about how we approach this. So sure, I can do a performance for you all. And they decided and millions and millions of dollars. And VRBO and all the big corporate companies.
What?
Yeah.
That wasn't.
No, 95% of it I agree with. City should do that. I will request that for this in the community about the impacts. I get it. I don't like it. And I want the rules enforced. The tax is going to be for the people, right? So that'll require voting people. I don't think it's a bad idea. Just being, again, going to require voting voters, but I think it's clever. I would be happy to talk a little bit more about the foreign ownership issue. It's a little bit complicated because where we live, how we find residents, but you and I are on the exact same page that things should not be hoarded. I believe that housing is a human right. I fundamentally believe that. I do not think anyone should hoard homes, especially when the people live on the street. That is immoral. I'd be happy to take that on with you.
Thank you. Next is, I'm having trouble reading the first name. Last name's Harrison.
Yeah, that's me.
Yes.
So
regarding
I'm basically,
please come up.
Oh,
yes.
I basically feel like the city is doing a rather poor job of infrastructure. But I feel bad, like saying, gee, there's unpaved alleys and the sidewalks are crumbling when they're not even cleaning the storm drains down south. So when I wrote that, and then somebody brought up that it's bad for you, but it's worse. But then again, last week I drove past Point Loma High School and all of their streets there are, was that 2 minutes?
That's 30 seconds. 30 seconds.
All the streets there are perfectly smooth concrete. Very, very nice. I'd like that for mine.
Yeah. So yes, the city is doing a bad job on infrastructure. We just talked about the deficit that we have. The cleaning of the channel did all of my budget memos. Okay. I represented the communities that were most impacted, and I represent some of the ones that were. I stood on Beta Street, right on Beta Street, and sandbagged homes before rains in December of 2021. So this didn't surprise me either. I was right there with the community, knowing how bad it was. And we advocated, right? And it didn't get one in the budget because, let's be honest, nobody cares about Southcrest, and most people didn't even know where Southcrest was before 2 weeks ago.
The point I was gonna make is, nobody asked me if I thought you were gonna.
You have to do better. There was a story that was in San Diego, partially true and more complicated. They said the state said the city had approval to clear them. That is true, but there are other layers of government, and mitigation has to be mitigation to pay to mitigate somewhere else. Extremely expensive. This goes back to the deficit. So 4 channels a year out of 200 are cleared right now. Obviously not enough, right? You do the math, it's going to take way too long to get to work. That's a result of our infrastructure. And you got to do more to fund the system and to make sure that we actually get the service we want. If we will never, ever get the system that we want, the current amount of revenue. That is just the truth.
Next up, Jay.
Oh, sorry, Paul, really quick.
Yes.
So Paul, I appreciate you having the perspective, but there's health and safety issues why we need to pave or at least gravel some of the alleys. I get it. So and basic maintenance and infrastructure. I completely agree with that, which is why I'm trying to be honest about the need.
Next up is Jay Powell. But for those on the Zoom call, we have 3 in the room to go. So be at the ready for being called on. Thanks, Jay.
Well, I'm not sure I understand just questions on this.
You have 30 seconds for a question to
30 seconds to grill me, Jay.
Okay. Yeah. No problem. I'm here to replace SDG&E. We're high in country, and we can do better. We want to know if you're going to support it. And there's a 20-year franchise agreement that we voted for, and we still need to replace this utility and get control of it. This will have an independent vote. Have you read the initiative, and will you support it?
So, thank you, Jay. First thing, we signed a 10+10, not the same as a 20. We have an out at 10 years, right? Created an energy independence fund with my friend President Pro Tem LaCava to give ourselves some financial power in that situation, so we have some leverage when we show up to the negotiating table this time instead of last time, where we had none and no plan for a public system. I have no interest in paying a monopoly to light my zero whatsoever. This is me off. I don't like it. And I've heard everyone here talk about how they don't trust the city to do streetlights, let alone run our entire electrical grid. So before we do that, I want to make sure we have our feet set to do it right. Council President Pro Tem LaCava said he wanted to do some work with the Environment Committee, study or do some work. I grab the light switches and hand it to the department that I don't study when I have.
Well, I think that's part of the problem. Rules committee, citizens.
Honestly, Jay's doing scaring the hell out of SUG. Okay. Highest, now the second highest. Which is okay, but better than having the highest, right? And that honestly is because Jay is holding and carrying that sign around and real care.
I'm not the only one holding the
I know.
sign. Sign it, and that's what we-
Next up is Fernando Garcia.
Question.
Certainly. I see some.
But an issue, it always has this, it's not my job, I don't have the power, it's the mayor's job, it's always somebody else, whether that comes from you or from your staff, it's always the mayor's fault, or they have the power, and I understand we have a strong mayor system here in San Diego. The problem that I find is that if that's the case, why do we have a city? And part of the job is to, in my opinion, is to take on the city council, or I'm sorry, to take on the mayor if they're not listening. And I think that's the part that people are mad at. Is that,
I'll turn that into a question in my head.
okay.
So you're not wrong, Fernando, that if we're not holding a line that, you know, we've kind of made ourselves irrelevant. And that's a big part of the fight within the council. And this has been documented, folks. And it's like we pick and choose what we want to listen to in the media. We have one story, but we ignore the news. There was when I became council president, that was a very important thing. The mayor and I have a good relationship and an honest relationship. He knows I don't always agree with him, but I need to have a working relationship. He runs operations for the city. Do you want the mayor? He will finally start doing everything we want. Folks, does anyone work in a workplace? That's how it goes. For somebody who does to you, you're just mean enough to them. Yeah. That's where you want. Yeah, okay, I don't want to do debate here. Okay, we're that dynamic's important. And Brando, very honest about this. There is nothing more power any without them. So you have power council. Acting stronger in the council. The last thing, and this is we're going to really get into the weeds here because it's a long question. The way we run our meetings completely changed the dynamic on policy. I hired as council president. The way it works was this: policy came forward, someone was queued up to make amendments were only accepted if they were quote unquote friendly, and that was the end of it. There's a real legislative process. Folks can put their amendments forward, they're voted up and down by the body. That is a huge, huge shift in how the staff have to engage with the city council members prior to me. This takes work. It doesn't happen overnight. This is 1 year after the next, after the next. Are we where we want to be? No. The last thing for now on that front is we are the housing authority. And I would say that if you ask anyone who's watched city council or city politics for the last 10 years, an authority under my leadership, it's ever been. For left, new, you've been this authority, the housing commission, to get things done because we have willpower there.
Thank you. Next up is Dana Given, and then we'll go to some attendees on the Zoom call.
You have consistently voted infrastructure development impact fees. You told me that raising taxes is the tool available to you to address major issues. For infrastructure, but instead you let the developers keep the profits. How much have you given away to developers and tips? And how could you vote away those funds to do exactly what our infrastructure is and is?
We just have a fundamental difference on what I'm not doing it to fatten their. I'm not trying to make rich people more rich.
Please.
I'm answering the question, yeah. Anyone who knows me knows me. I'm the most progressive member of the city council. They have no interest in rich people becoming rich. It's not to fatten their wallets, it's to get housing. Okay? That's period, right? And we have a difference of opinion as to whether or not we need more of it. Okay? We talked about it for years now. All right. So yes, I waived the fee, but it's not because I don't care about infrastructure dollars or because I want to fatten anyone's pockets. I think that that's a very misleading question. It's because I think that we have a housing crisis and that we need more housing to address it because everyone who does research on this without a bias ahead of time comes to the same conclusion. That does not mean that we're wrong that there's house hoarding going on. It does not mean that we're wrong that folks should be doing more to be more generous in how they hold on to housing. It does not mean that we cannot do more to hold developers accountable. None of that means it's wrong. But we also know that there was not enough housing built in this region or in this state for a very long time, and demand exceeds supply. So my answer to your question is I chose to try to address that issue, and it was in my ideal world, I wouldn't have to make those choices. Those are the choices that were in front of me, and I chose the side of housing.
My question was, how much have you given away?
I haven't given anything away.
To developers
I'm not going to engage that question in that way. You know? It's not a giveaway. It's not a giveaway.
We're going to move to the Zoom call now. Thank you. Gerald on Zoom.
Yeah, hi. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, sorry, the audio has been really bad online. I switched to my phone. Hopefully this is a little better. Just one question in terms of the streets. What is the process? Is it the city has a process where they went and measured the condition index of all the streets in the city, but do they leave it to the council members to select where the money goes? I'm just trying to understand how that gets done.
Not exactly. So the assessment, which I'm baffled by, which rated the road as fair, poor in 2015 and fair in 2023. And I think everyone, it doesn't make sense, right? That's the assessment. The assessment guides the prioritization that happens. It's likely a budget. Then at that point, it's basically a budget wrestling match to try to get it in. And I have to convince my colleague common sense would rule the day, and bad roads would be seen as bad roads, maybe prioritized accordingly in the budget from the jump, but on multiple occasions, it has not worked out in the way that we would hope. We've had to fight for those dollars. We've won some of those fights.
This was a stunning development. The initial vote ended in a tie, forcing one Republican to switch their vote to give them the option.
Somebody's watching the news.
Next.
Hey, Paul, real quick.
Next is, Paul
can I just make a Paul, can I make a recommendation? If you guys could maybe shut down the video in the room. The bandwidth on the phone is still bad, even as also just food for thought.
Okay. We'll go blind on this next question. Yes, Paul.
Yeah, so last Friday, a lot of Talmadge was designated a historic district by the State Historic Commission, and that kind of bypassed public input and the city council and the planning department. That designation will prevent most new housing in the area, and apparently Kensington is next. So since the state's requiring us to build all these housing units, how do we do that if we're taking entire neighborhoods off the map where new housing can be added? Thanks.
Thanks, Paul. So I'm very curious to see what Attorney General Bonta has to say about some of these designations. I'm gonna be honest, it's been tried in other communities and they did not take kindly to it. And we will see if there's a either an advisory or some other action from the Attorney General. That it's been more than once where efforts like that have been responded to with pretty strong and quick responses from the Attorney General's office.
Thanks.
Thank you. I'm going to turn it over to Emily for some questions from the chat.
Yes, we had one question from the chat from Len. Len asks, what are the height rules in Normal Heights single home neighborhood?
It depends. Yeah. So, and you all know this, it depends. Depends on a variety of factors, depends on which program we're being used, there's a variety of factors. So I know you'd like a blanket answer. Our land development code is just not built that way anymore. There's folks who probably strongly disagree with that. I think that it should be uniform all the way across. Understand and respect that, but it's not as simple as that.
It looks like that was the only question in the chat. Marianne Green, who had spoke earlier about the stormwater, I know she's having connection issues, but she did write in the chat that 50,000 per acre for wetland mitigation and 450,000 per acre if it's dredged for mitigation. So just to give some context to the numbers.
Yeah, it's super, and you have to find some places. It's wild process. But that's not an excuse not to do it. It just means you have to properly fund the system and plan so you can get all that work done. Yeah, not ideal.
Okay. I have one late submission from the room for in-room speaker slip or question slip. And this is Terry Hoskins.
I appreciate you taking the line. I wasn't going to ask the question, but we can.
Stormwater or drains or
so this is right now they do 4 per year, but
we're clean the previous.
But I know what I asked for. I asked for the channels in Southwest DC.
And I guess the other one, my second question, Sean, is who decided which channel to be? So if the one in district is fine, were the worst channels, and they've already been flooded numerous times. That was the worst. I know you heard that, but I'm just, it kind of blows my mind when we hear residents talk on television.
Terry, we disagree on a lot. We agree on this. like I told you, I stood there with residents in Southcrest on Beta Street. I cannot tell you how much this bothered me. Those houses were full of mud and crap, okay, from the channel. People did nothing wrong, right? These are folks who saved their entire life to buy their, I'm so mad about this, right? And at the same time, it is incredibly important that we do not pretend like we know that this was preventable. Because the way that the neighborhood is built, it is built in a floodplain. All right. And so I don't know that it wouldn't have flooded. And here's why I'm so careful with that. Not because I'm trying to cover my butt. I did the advocacy that I tried my best. But when folks lost everything, I think we need to be very careful about what we told them, what we tell them is the cause of that loss. And personally, as difficult as it is to swallow an act of God ruining everything I have, it would be even more frustrating and angering to me if I knew that one person or one entity could have prevented it. And we don't know that. And so what I will ask is that even in a political season, we be very careful before we start assuming that a disaster of this nature was completely preventable. Because what you are doing is you are handing folks something that they will never, ever let go of. And that is not something that we should take lightly.
First of all, I didn't realize we don't agree on this. That was an epiphany. So with that, I realized that everything can be preventable, but it could be meant. I was just curious on if they do 4 per year, which or 12 would have been done in the previous.
Yeah, we're happy to ask for that. I know what I asked to be prioritized. Mountain View, Southcrest were both in my district when I showed up to council and I was elected. I want to make sure, is everyone here comfortable with this being recorded and disseminated? Okay, making sure.
I just, I'm curious.
Yeah.
And I'm sure everybody else is too.
Yeah. So just like with our roads, I'd say it's very similar to that, right? So council members, we ask for what we ask. Purpose. It's large and so I can say clearing source which be and then the mayor has the authority for the charge to do different. And sometimes that's because of emergency. So one of the problems with our stormwater system right now is that things keep breaking. Taking the budget we have, we've allocated a bunch of breaks. It costs a lot of money to fix, and something that was on that to-do list, or multiple things ended up getting cut off. Council members and mayors that for years, they without thinking going to do this, our system is not funded for to maintain. We'll do our best to make repairs and outdated. Things are going to break completely and we just put your voting. It is super
Marty, yeah. Indeed. We are done, if we are short of funds, it goes back to why did we take funds and earmark for infrastructure for other things, and then everything is the mayor's fault.
It's not. No, it's not the mayor's fault. It's not. I didn't say that. I didn't say it's the mayor's fault.
You're right. Work on the mayor. You said
I want to be clear about something. That does not mean it's all the mayor's. I said this as well. Infrastructure. These are generational decisions. Right. It's not just the mayor's fault. This is generations of San Diego leaders pretending like it doesn't cost anything to run a city. This is one of the best examples I can use. The industrial wastewater fee, like, I don't know, if no one here is interested, I don't know, if you can keep it as low as possible. One person. We updated that fee, I think my first year on council, it had not been updated since the mid-80s. Folks, I'm whole list of things like that, you end up in a massive. It's not just the mayor's. The mayor's operational authority, and that is different, right? So that is a very. I want to make that. We're so people are back and forth, and also one of the things important to know. Some of the things that you list that we should be on our infrastructure, like that is. Now, do two things. Make sure that the water that does run off is clean, because nature is really, really good at moving water around and doing that. It sifts it, it filters it. Our system, especially South, was built in the 50s or 60s, if not before, almost entirely concrete, which means water moves. It's clear, moves super, super fast, and it does before it hits our beaches and bays. Or things like plants and rocks, pebbles, because that helps make sure that our water is clean. We'll move to go around starting. Sam, if you have any.
Turn off the video again.
Sure. Try that. Questions outside? Okay. Water is serious, like on bad. Feedback on other water thing. Going. We get multiple updates about that. That's our city's biggest infrastructure project ever. It is moving on, but it's also in higher costs. It's not because of that is because the city a responsible way of making of doing big infrastructure projects. Right? So by bifurcating big we're going to plan, we're going to put it out to bid for construction. The big price tag, we never have the conversation of the big price tag, right? But we also don't lock in a price. And so by trying to avoid sticker shock with the voters of what things actually cost, we break it into little pieces. When we break it into little pieces, it takes longer. When it takes longer, it costs a lot more, and we lose control of certain. So I'm pushing for us to change that practice and be more honest and I think responsible, even if the big price tag at the front is kind of scary to us. But at least we know the price. And pure water is I worry that we will see more of that, but they're doing an incredible job. And I will tell you that when I visited the facility, it is remarkable what they're doing. It is it's just like like really, really impressive operation. And they're good jobs. These are good union jobs with folks who can build careers and retire with a pension. That's all super important because we can't be building these things on the backs of folks. You can't afford to live or retire.
There's no more. Yes.
What's the status of SB 10? I know it's a pause bit, but has been hit by the planning department. So I guess it's nothing coming before city council soon, but how do you see the situation?
I don't know what their plan is.
Job.
It's my job to know everything from every department. Yeah. The expectations are high and I'm good with that, folks, but that's not how it works. Okay. That's not how it works. Right. I don't know what their plan is because they went back to the drawing board. We told them to go back to the drawing board. And what I will know is what their actual plan is when they bring us a plan. I can't get in their minds, right? And say, planning department, what are you thinking right now? That's just not how it works. Folks, we are going to disagree on things. And I am fine with that. But what I will never ever do is be disingenuous or dishonest about what I have control over or what my powers actually are. It is so easy to stand here and say, I'll stop that and I'll stop that, knowing full well that I don't actually have the power to do that. I'm trying to be honest. So they went back to the drawing board. I think they saw the writing on the wall that the council wasn't going to be receptive to what they were planning on bringing. I don't know if they'll bring something else back. I think there's probably a myriad of factors that go into that. And when folks ask for black and white answers on, will you support implementation of SB 10? I'm not dancing around that because I have a problem taking strong positions on things. You all know that I have no problem doing that. It's because there are nuances to policy. What if SB 10 only applied to a very select part of the city that has been completely segregated from multi-family housing? That's a different equation than if it applies citywide, right? So before I say yes or no on something as complex as this, I actually want to see it. And so I think planning has gone back to the drawing board. I think they're going to wait and see how council talks about the issue generally, and they may or may not come back. What I've been very clear with planning about, what is in my power, is to say before you bring stuff, I don't just want to have feedback, I want to have input. This has been a 3-year fight with city staff. They say, we'll bring it to you for feedback. And I keep saying feedback is not input. I want us to have input. If you don't give us input, our meetings are going to be a lot more messy, and they're starting to respond to that. Thank you. Great.
I'll go. Chairman, can I make a correction? We were just talking about the initiative that we're proposing. You said, well, I want to wait and see the city's doing it. We've had this discussion about the strong mayor and the government. This initiative creates an independent board of experts and community oversight. So it's not going to be just another department of the city. I want to make sure everyone understands that.
Okay.
And that's why we're promoting it this week.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I think that'll be important for voters to know as well.
I'm going to go ahead and take the final question. And that's, I'll give you a little background on our neighborhood of Normal Heights. We have a lot of free little libraries. You may have seen some of them. Some of them are immensely special. If you ever need a tour of the free little libraries, I'm sure there's community members, including myself, that would take you on a walking tour of them. Which leads me to the library general plan, which was recently approved. Thank you. In it specifies that the branch libraries in Normal Heights and University Heights are to be replaced. They're both the oldest in the system and the smallest. And you've talked a lot about budget tonight. So I'm wondering, how will these projects be funded?
Yeah, I think they said it during the presentation, if I remember correctly, that there is no funding plan for the library master plan as written. There was an effort to put something on the ballot to help fund Parks and Library. They came up a little bit short in terms of signatures. It was a citizen-led effort. They're still fighting in court to see if there's a way to have some signatures. They believe that some signatures were improperly invalidated. That'll play itself out. Absent that, though, these are the sort of tough decisions that we're going to need to make in terms of properly resourcing the city to do really important stuff like maintain, repair, build the infrastructure that we need, provide folks with the parks and libraries that they want and they deserve. And none of that happens without us being honest about the city's budget and what it costs to run a city. And it is not a popular thing to say, but again, I'm trying to be brutally honest. This per capita, city of San Diego brings in a fraction of what other cities do, especially big cities throughout the country. And you all are paying the price. And I know you pay a lot to live in San Diego and California. We all pay too much. And so it's really hard to put these things together. How can my life be so expensive? And I hear that the city of San Diego is under-resourced from revenue perspective. Trust me, as someone in elected office who has to run to keep my job, I'd rather that not be the case. That's the math. That is the math. It's the math, again, a long, long time. It's very easy. How much time do I have left? About 12 years ago, there was a politician in San Diego, Carl DeMaio. Some of you may really like him, but he was the worst thing to happen to San Diego. It was the worst thing to happen to San Diego because he fed a really easy lie into the ears of San Diego. And he made it sound like all of the woes of the city's budget problem was not because we were short on revenue compared to every other big city in the country, but it's because librarians were making too much. City workers had too good a pension. That was a lie. It was a lie that didn't just not solve the problem, but it made a worse problem. We lost city employees. I'm just going to go a little bit longer on this because it's fundamental and one of the most important things that we've done in the last 3 years. We bled city employees. There was a brain drain. We couldn't retain employees because when they came to work for the city of San Diego, they'd get trained up, get experience, and go to some place where they could earn a decent living and have a pension. That happened for a decade, folks. So not only were we not funding our systems, we didn't have the workers in place to do the work, even if we had the budget there. My first 2 years in office, I came back to these meetings and I was very happy because I told you we won a bunch of money for streetlights, and I know we all want streetlights. And I was genuinely happy about it. And then the work wouldn't get done. And the work wouldn't get done because there weren't workers to do it. So we've increased pay for workers, but we're competitive. Just got like we're trying to get to the median, right? Like how bad things work. This last year, city employees took a survey. It was the first time in city history where more people said that they would recommend to work for the city than did not say that. The first time. This has been a bad city to work for a very, very long time. And we've all paid the price. And so none of these things get fixed easy. Whether it's infrastructure or parks and libraries, it requires hard conversations that I wish did not need to happen, but it's part of the reality that we're dealing with. We were understaffed because we were underpaid. So we have a lot of work to do to fix that. We have an infrastructure deficit, and that means things are breaking and tragedies are more likely to happen. We've got a lot of work to do to fix that. What I don't want to do is be dishonest and tell you that I can fix it alone, that I will fix it alone, that I can't, and no council member can. Anyone who tells you that they will doesn't understand the job or is being dishonest. Because it's not that simple. I love the opportunities to do the work that I get to do. And I especially love it when I get to work with the community to make that stuff happen. I don't mind disagreeing. What I want, though, is to be able to unite around common goals, not what we are opposing, but what we are for, so we can actually get things done. And we haven't had a chance to say hi. I used to work for Diane. And almost all of our campaigns in the community were based around a vision that the community had for a better future. And build power together, and you go and you push through. And remarkable things happen. Not to make this like too much about Diana and my job, we work together, but I went to work for Mississippi Can in 2015, and they were 5 years into a campaign to get free transit passes for youth. Already 5 years into it. A campaign that started in the neighborhood. Moms and grandmothers who wanted to give their youth access to transportation. They pushed and they put a goal, and we finally I'm down. But we've got to unite what we want, not what we don't want. Thank you all for the question. Okay. We agree. I do genuinely appreciate that you care about that. Is absolutely fundamental to having a good city. So we
this take 5 minutes. We need to have Now they can hear. All right, so Alex Wong of SD Ride is moving his presentation to next month. Hopefully we'll have some better bandwidth at that point. Maybe some 5G. Let's go ahead and move on to a mural funding request from Caroline.
So for those who know me, I'm Caroline McKeown. I'm a Normal Heights resident for 20 years. I sat on this board from 2012 to 2020. And from 2014 on, I was the treasurer. So I was also the chair and the treasurer for 6 years. And at some point right before COVID, we talked about using some of the money that I single-handedly raised to fund the mural at the Adams Records. And then COVID happened and fell apart. And then at one point there was actually a Zoom vote, but I can't find the minutes. There's no minutes in the city's minutes. So there was a vote to give some of our money to the mural. It never happens. That's what I'm here for today, is to ask you guys to give $1,000 or more of the $2,085.99 that you had when I handed over the treasurer, and you haven't spent a dime in almost 4 years, towards the mural. They're about $5,000 short of their goal. And if you open up this beautiful annual report from the AAPA, you'll see the mural. It's gorgeous. It's being put together by Kim Emerson, who's a world famous mosaic artist who lives in Normal Heights. She's really donating her time to do this project for our community. I think she's on the Zoom. A lot of fundraising was done by Normal Heights Urban Arts Committee. So we have a lot of buy-in. The AABA donated money. The Community Association donated money. Everybody's donated money, but this is it. So if you have a Normal Heights coffee mug in your cabinet, if you have one of the pint glasses from the 1916 day, those are all things that I sold to make money for this group. I would like to now ask that you guys give $1,000 or more if you vote to the mural.
I move that we allocate the previously approved $1,000. Second.
I have a question. Is this, with my understanding, our budget's like $1,085, so we're just gonna go to like $85 or whatever the number. We're about $1,000 something.
How expensive?
No, I just wanted to understand.
Why did you guys spend $1,000 on it spent on your opinion? Oh, well, you get $500 from the city every year that you guys have. You guys been spending that?
No.
Yes.
Yes.
We plan to spend it.
But it runs out at the end of every year, and then you have to spend it again.
So we have a.
So you could take this get $500 back.
Call the question.
So we have a motion and a second to allocate $1,000 for the butterfly mural. Take it to a vote. All in favor?
Right.
And those abstaining? And any nays? Looks like it passed unanimous.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And if you guys want to raise more money, I'm happy to give you all my tricks. You can sell pint glasses and mugs that everybody loves. Oh, license.
Coffee and cookies are now $1 each. Yes.
Could someone tell me what the total question here was?
$50,000. Thank you.
The cookies was in grandfather. Were they?
I don't think Joe is here. So I don't think we have an election to do for a board seat. Has anyone here been to more than one meeting previously in the last year?
Be careful if you raise your hand.
You have a question? Oh,
No,
you
no,
have.
no, no.
You have, okay. Yeah, because we're headhunting. Next up, let's see, is there any non-agenda public comment that we didn't cover at the opening? Okay. Let's move into approval of the meeting minutes for December. We have a motion to approve. Jim moves to approve meeting minutes. Do we have a second? Emily seconds. All in favor of approving the meeting minutes of December. Let's, you have to count? Oh, yeah. Okay, so there's 2 abstains. And the rest is yes. Okay. We'll move into reports and updates. Update on 3488 Adams Avenue development, aka the Mars project. Last I spoke with the principal of I&I Greenfield. He said they would be breaking ground in January. It's now February. I've also been in touch with Cecilia Ponce at BSD, who's the project manager attached to the project, and she said that the only thing holding up the project is the developer asking for the permits. Now, of course, that ask also comes with a payment of $250,000 in fees. So at this point, that's all we know, and you can draw your own conclusions. Next is the city, county, state government agency representatives. Sarah has left with and will be absent in March, and Ben will be covering for her, so we'll have a return visit from Ben. Is Lucero here from Mayor Gloria's office? Okay. Anybody?
Jenny Hall was here, but she had to leave for the PD.
Yes, there is a captain's meeting monthly. It used to conflict with this meeting, but now it's been moved. So if there are any board members interested in attending the captain's table, Jenny will be emailing us after this meeting. Is there a representative for Monica Montgomery Stepp, our new county supervisor? How about for State Senator Atkins?
No other representative.
Or other representative. Assembly Member Ward. Okay. Sarah Jacobs, District 51. Okay. Did I miss anybody? Okay. Should report on the Community Planners Committee. The planning group recognition, where all of the planning groups have reapplied for their jobs. Basically, there's only competing groups in La Jolla and Uptown. So the assumption is that all the other groups would be renewed. The Community Planners Committee also had a presentation from the Balboa Park Cultural Partnership. That is a group that coordinates the efforts of all of the individual museums and cultural participants that utilize Balboa Park. So there are a lot of them. There's a lot of museums there, and they coordinate also the all park paths. And then the committee to submit to the county grand jury regarding SD Planning Department will have its next meeting on the 9th. So that's coming up this week. And that will be to do interactive editing on the document that will be presented. But there will be other work to add additional information and tables, figures, and things like that. That document would then go to the full CPC for vote and signature before being passed on to the grand jury. So target date for that is about May. And community group update.
That's the annual report and enjoy reading it.
And you hosted Sean earlier today.
we had our annual breakfast meeting this morning. We had about 65 business and property owners that attended the vibe. How was the vibe? The vibe, it's great. I mean, how can you say anything else?
El Cajon Boulevard Business Improvements. I don't see Gary Weber here tonight.
He was
Oh.
on chat earlier.
Okay, any update?
He is on the Zoom, nothing in the chat.
Okay, Gary, you're on, you have any news for us? Okay. Next up is Normal Heights Community Association and Normal Heights Urban Arts.
Yeah, for the Normal Heights Community Association, we put our calendar of events all online, so you can see through the end of the year what these different events are. Sometimes they're on the calendar. And then the next event is a mixer, happening on February 21st, and at 6 o'clock, the AC.
And Urban Arts. Norma, I see you online. I think it's muted.
She did say thanks for the donation to the butterfly mural in the chat, but that was earlier.
Okay. There she is. Oh, okay. Hi, we can hear you now.
Yes. Thank you very, very much. And Kim is also online. Kim is the artist, and Kim is the one who, for the last 6 years, has been pushing this through the city to get permits, to get approvals. It's amazing, a city-owned building, and you still have to get all of these structural reports and everything too. But you can see in the background part of the design. If you look at Kim, part of the design, and that's not the actual physical design. You all are going to be absolutely stunned when you see this work of art. It's absolutely amazing. And it's getting closer and closer to being completed and to be mounted. And then we hope to have a nice dedication that we want the whole community to be there. So keep your ears out, keep a watch for more information as it comes. And I think Kim, if it's okay, I know Kim would like to say something too.
Thank you, Norma. And I just want to thank everybody on the planning group for the donation. It means so much. And it's for the community to make our beloved Normal Heights an even more beautiful place. So we hope to have the work installed around March 1st. I'm meeting with the contractor on Friday to talk about weather reports and their schedule. So I've gotten a lot done tonight while attending this meeting. I'm about 18 square inches of actual assembly artwork on the table. So we're very close. And thank you again. Thank you, Caroline, for following through with that. More butterflies, the better, and more art, the better. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I'll use the time slot for Normal Heights for Smart Growth. Basically give a garden update. The community garden is still proceeding slowly as it is. The latest is that the parkway that sits between the two sidewalks along Cherokee Avenue is not city-owned property. It is part of the parcel that you see the house that's behind that second sidewalk. So there'll be a letter going to the property owners to ask for permission. Once that permission has been given, then the city will vacate the public right-of-way aspect. That's just some paperwork that they'll do. And at that point, we would be able to proceed with the installation. It's south of Adams. It's just north of the market there.
It's Madison.
East Mountain View. East Mountain View and Cherokee. Just much, yes. Yes, just very close. That was one of the things that we liked about it, is that the signage there could be educational.
We skipped in.
Any other business?
We skipped the item.
Adams Rec Center, okay. Adams Avenue Rec Center?
Yeah. And, we talked about, we're going to have a spring lake. It's, I think it's March, it's in March. And that's when they want to, do the, and also, they talked about the homeless issue. The Adams Avenue Rec Center. Lady is, and she is in front of the butterfly windows right in front of the center by the bus stop. She's taken up the whole thing now with her belongings, and she has a camera set up there too. And she fills up like 28 laundry bottles, and she goes around and goes across the street, and she waters those trees over there. And I want to put in several, get young apps for there, and the word Canyon, because when she leaves the rec center, she goes to Lake Canyon. So I put several of those in, and they got out of the word Canyon, and then she went to the rest of them. I put in one, they got rid of her. She went to the word Canyon, and I put in there, and she came back to there. So I put in like, they say that they go over there, and she's not there. But I take the bus with my dog. We go there twice a week. Field trips to the hospital, take my dog there to visit the patients. Yeah, he's standing on the hospital. And when I go in and come in, he's there. So I don't know what it is. They say when I go there, they can't get a hold. And so they've been doing the pretty much he has some of her friends and at the mock building, I could have get it done out there because the homeless are fast and they have all these leaves in the trees there. And it took like 3 times to get it done. They finally got rid of the homeless trash, but they still haven't got rid of the leaves. So every time they go in, they put in there, it is resolved. So when I go there, it's still there. So I have not been over there. They say it's resolved now, but I took care of it, but I didn't buy it. Tomorrow.
Oh, lots of questions. Yes.
There's a date, finally there's a demolition date for the mock building schedule. Is that right now?
A year.
A year.
About 5 years. Well, yeah, 10 years ago and 20 years ago. But I saw something that the most recent Adams Rec Council, they actually have a date set for this meeting.
It says the longest, outside stand that would happen as late as October, November, but as early as the spring. There was no exact date, it was no rain.
Down the fence in the front there where the bus stop is, so the kids can walk.
Yes, back.
Yes, there was some very radical tree trimming going on around the near where Candy Park has Park and Rec. How replace those new?
No.
And then they grown up, they're making the trees.
Yes.
So the kids gone out.
person who deals with get it done have to take any kind of picture or show any evidence that they actually went out and did something? Because I'm starting to think they don't actually do something.
They did take a picture of the one at the mock building where they picked up the whole homeless trash. But they didn't take pictures of dead branches and the leaves that were there.
So there's really no rule that they have to show that they've actually done something.
It depends on the request. I've had some where you get a picture of that the work's been completed, like a mattress in an alleyway, and they'll take a picture of a blank building, and you see that the mattress is gone. But for cars parked over 72 hours, I never see anything other than just closed.
Or like this one, they don't have to prove that they actually went out to see you.
I think they might be constrained on privacy for that.
A lot of times when there's multiple tickets on the same issue, they'll close their tickets and keep kind of like a person. That may be a reason.
Okay.
The police did talk to her last week. I was there, so they did, talk to her.
Kim, you have your hand raised.
Hello, I'm on the rec advisory group, the CRG, along with Jim Barros. And as far as the homeless, that I have no idea what, I mean, we all, they just tell us to put in the get it done reports on whomever is there. They're there now, we do that, and they're back. But I wanted to say something about the mock building and the Ward Canyon Park, that yes, the mock building is scheduled to be part of the first phase to be removed. And that corner will be landscaped. There will be a temporary fencing around there while they're working on that, but it will be approximately 1 year from now. But what is really important is that we need people to join this group and come to these meetings the fourth Tuesday of every month, because there will be the necessity of community input, particularly for the new recreation building and other amenities in the park that are still going in, but there's going to be some slight changes and shifts to try to fit everything into the footprint of the park. So we really need everyone's support on helping the city, well, so we can have what we deserve in Normal Heights. So I just wanted to say that. If it was already said, I apologize, I couldn't hear. So.
No, thanks, that's great.
Okay.
So at this point, do we have a motion to adjourn?
Move to adjourn.
Second? Done. Thank you.